Captain Hyunwoo Kim stood on the bridge of the UES Harmony, watching the alien ships approach Earth. 3 massive vessels moved through space like floating cities. Their dark metal hulls gleamed under the light of Seoul. Each ship was twice the size of anything humans had ever built. "They're beautiful," whispered Ambassador Yoonji Park, standing beside him. She wore her best diplomatic uniform, decorated with small flags from every nation on Earth. Her hands shook slightly with excitement. This was the moment humanity had dreamed about for centuries. "Beautiful and dangerous," Admiral Do-yeon Lee said through the communication screen. She was watching from Earth Defense Command, deep underground in Seoul. Her face looked worried. "We don't know anything about them except they found us after our first warp test. The alien fleet had appeared in Earth's outer system 3 days ago. They sent simple mathematical messages that proved they were intelligent. Then they asked permission to approach Earth. Ambassador Park had been thrilled. The aliens were following diplomatic rules. "Incoming transmission," reported Communications Officer Jae-sung Park. The main screen flickered and showed the inside of an alien ship. 3 different creatures appeared on screen. The first looked like a giant lizard walking on 2 legs. Its scales were dark green, and its eyes were yellow with vertical slits. When it spoke, its voice was deep and rough. "I am Overlord Veltar of the Hegemony," the lizard creature said. "We welcome this primitive species to galactic civilization." The second alien looked like a massive insect. It had 4 arms and compound eyes that reflected light like jewels. Its voice buzzed when it talked. "I am Counselor Kiksana," the insect said. "Your emotions are quite entertaining to observe." The third alien was smaller than the others. It had gray skin and large black eyes. Its voice was soft and musical. "I am Ambassador Rix Hall," it said. "We come in peace to evaluate your species for membership in the Galactic Confederation." Captain Kim activated the communication system. "Welcome to Earth. I am Captain Hyunwoo Kim of the United Earth ship Harmony. We are honored by your visit." Ambassador Park stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Yoonji Park, representing all of humanity. We have prepared ceremonies to welcome you properly." The 3 aliens looked at each other. Overlord Veltar made a sound that might have been laughter. "Ceremonies? How quaint. Very well. We will observe your primitive rituals." 2 hours later, the alien delegation sat in the main conference room of the Harmony. The room was decorated with flowers from every continent on Earth. Flags from all human nations hung on the walls. Musicians played soft classical music in the background. Ambassador Park presented each alien with carefully chosen gifts. For Overlord Veltar, she offered a carved jade dragon from China. For Counselor Kiksana, she gave a collection of honey from different regions of Earth. For Ambassador Rix Hall, she presented a small sculpture made from moon rock. "These gifts represent the diversity and unity of humanity," Park explained. "The jade dragon symbolizes wisdom and strength. The honey shows how we value the small creatures that help our world grow. The moon sculpture represents our dreams of reaching beyond our home." Overlord Veltar examined the jade dragon with mild interest. "Amusing craftsmanship for such a young species," he said. His tone suggested he was talking to a child. Counselor Kiksana tasted the honey with one of her 4 hands. "Sweet, your food production methods are surprisingly organized for mammals." Ambassador Rix Hall held the moon sculpture gently. "This required space travel to obtain, impressive for a species that only recently achieved faster-than-light travel." The formal presentations continued for 3 hours. Captain Kim explained human history, culture, and technology. Ambassador Park described Earth's governments and how humanity had learned to work together. She spoke about human art, music, and literature with obvious pride. The aliens listened politely, but seemed distracted. Overlord Veltar kept checking a small device on his wrist. Counselor Kiksana appeared to be studying the humans more than listening to their words. Ambassador Rix Hall took careful notes but asked no questions. During a break in the presentations, the 3 aliens spoke quietly in their own language. Captain Kim noticed they kept looking at the humans and making gestures. It didn't look like a friendly conversation. When the formal ceremonies ended, Ambassador Rix Hall stood up. "We thank you for this educational experience. However, we must now discuss serious matters." The mood in the room changed immediately. Ambassador Park sensed Something was wrong. Of course, we're ready to begin diplomatic negotiations. Overlord Veltar stepped forward. His yellow eyes looked directly at Ambassador Park. There will be no negotiations. We are here to inform you of your new status in galactic civilization. Our status? Captain Kim asked carefully. The Galactic Confederation has evaluated your species, Counselor Kixana buzzed. You show promise but lack the development necessary for independent membership. Ambassador Rixhal activated a holographic display. It showed a map of the galaxy with different colored regions. These areas represent different levels of civilization. Advanced species in blue zones govern themselves. Developing species in yellow zones receive guidance. Primitive species in red zones become protectorates. And where does humanity fit? Ambassador Park asked, though she was beginning to fear the answer. Red zone, Overlord Veltar said with satisfaction. You will become a protectorate of the hegemony. We will provide protection, guidance, and structure. In return, you will provide resources and labor. The room fell silent. Captain Kim felt his hands clench into fists. Ambassador Park's face went pale. The alien delegation watched their reactions with interest. Protection from what? Captain Kim asked slowly. From yourselves primarily, Counselor Kixana replied. Your species shows concerning levels of violence and independence. You require firm guidance to reach your potential. Ambassador Park took a deep breath. This is a very significant proposal. We would need time to discuss it with our governments. Of course, Ambassador Rixhale said smoothly. We understand primitive decision-making processes take time. You have 1 standard week to prepare for integration. And if we refuse? Captain Kim asked. Overlord Veltar's mouth opened slightly, showing rows of sharp teeth. Refusal is not an option for primitive species. The galaxy requires order. Ambassador Park maintained her diplomatic smile despite feeling sick. We appreciate your generous offer. We will certainly give it the consideration it deserves. The aliens prepared to leave. As they walked toward their shuttle, Overlord Veltar spoke quietly to his companions. Captain Kim's universal translator caught fragments of their conversation. Pathetically weak, Veltar was saying. No real military. Their largest ships are smaller than our shuttles. Emotionally unstable, Kixana added. They will require constant supervision. Still, Ambassador Rixhal said thoughtfully, they achieved FTL travel independently. That suggests some intelligence. Barely, Veltar laughed. 1 primitive ship that can barely cross systems. They will be grateful for proper guidance. After the alien shuttle departed, Captain Kim and Ambassador Park stood alone on the bridge. Earth hung beautiful and blue in the view screen below them. They think we're helpless, Park said quietly. They think we're stupid, Kim replied. Admiral Lee's face appeared on the communication screen. She had been monitoring the entire meeting. Did you tell them? She asked. Ambassador Park shook her head. Tell them what? Admiral Lee's expression was grim. That we were being polite. 3 months had passed since the first meeting with the aliens. Counselor Jinho Choi sat in his small shuttle as it approached Nexus Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Confederation. The planet looked like a massive city floating in space. Towers stretched up from the surface like metal trees reaching toward the stars. Sir, we're receiving docking instructions, said Commander Jamin O, who was piloting the shuttle. He was also Choi's security detail, though his job seemed pointless now. The human delegation consisted of only 5 people. Follow their directions. Exactly, Choi replied. He was a thin man with gray hair and calm eyes. Before becoming a diplomat, he had been a military strategist. That experience taught him to watch and listen before making any moves. Dr. Sujin Han sat across from him, reading data on her tablet. She was a xenobiologist who had spent the last 3 months studying every piece of alien communication they had received. Her job was to understand how alien minds worked. The ceremony they planned is meant to humiliate us, she said quietly. Every detail is designed to make humans look weak and grateful. I know, Choi said. The question is whether they planned it that way because they're cruel or because they're stupid. Their shuttle docked at a massive space station orbiting Nexus Prime. Alien security forces escorted them through corridors filled with dozens of different species. Some looked like animals that had learned to walk upright. Others were so strange that Choi couldn't figure out how they moved or breathed. The other aliens stared at the humans as they passed. Some pointed and whispered. Others just watched with curious eyes. Choi noticed that none of them looked afraid or respectful. They looked at humans the way people might look at interesting pets. The council chamber was enormous. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in curved rows that rose up like steps toward the ceiling. At the center was a raised platform where 3 thrones sat. The largest throne was occupied by High Chancellor Mordun, a creature that looked like a cross between a whale and an octopus. Its massive body filled the throne while thick tentacles moved constantly around its base. To his right sat War Chief Graktul, a red-skinned humanoid with 4 arms and spikes growing from his shoulders. His eyes burned like hot coals, and his mouth was full of sharp teeth. He wore armor that looked like it was made from the bones of defeated enemies. The third throne held someone Choi recognized from the reports. Ambassador Rixhal looked tiny next to the other 2 leaders, but his large black eyes seemed to see everything. "Humans!" High Chancellor Mordun's voice boomed through the chamber. "Welcome to the center of galactic civilization. Today you will take your proper place in the cosmic order." The ceremony began immediately. Alien officials read long speeches about the benefits of being a protectorate species. They described how humans would receive protection, guidance, and purpose under alien rule. The speeches were translated into dozens of languages, so every species in the chamber could understand. War Chief Graktul stood up when it was his turn to speak. "Let me show you what resistance brings," he announced. The chamber's holographic displays activated, showing scenes of warfare from across the galaxy. The images were horrible. Cities burned while alien ships fired from orbit. Soldiers fled in terror as massive war machines crushed everything in their path. Bodies floated in space around the wreckage of destroyed fleets. "The Velkari thought they could fight us," Graktul said with pleasure. "They had a fleet of 3,000 ships. It took us 6 hours to destroy them all." More images appeared. "The Zorlan believed their technology made them superior. We turned their own weapons against them." The screen showed robots attacking their own creators while aliens laughed. "The humans of Earth have perhaps 200 ships," Graktul continued. "Primitive vessels that move slowly and carry weak weapons. We could destroy your entire civilization before your midday meal." The alien crowd laughed and cheered. Some banged their appendages against their seats in approval. Choi noticed that Dr. Han was taking careful notes during the presentations. Commander O stood perfectly still, but his eyes tracked every exit and security position in the chamber. When the speeches ended, High Chancellor Mordun gestured toward the humans. "Now you will kneel and accept your new status as protectorates of the Galactic Confederation." Choi stepped forward calmly. "Thank you for the detailed presentation. However, we must respectfully decline your offer." The chamber fell completely silent. Even the constant humming of the space station's machinery seemed to stop. Hundreds of alien eyes stared at the small human delegation in shock. Then the laughter started. It began with a few chuckles and grew into roaring amusement that echoed off the chamber walls. Some aliens fell off their seats. Others made sounds that might have been applause. War Chief Graktul laughed so hard his spikes rattled. "Decline? Did this primitive creature just say, 'decline'?" "No species has ever refused integration," High Chancellor Mordun said with amazement. "Are you perhaps confused about your situation?" Choi maintained his calm expression. "We understand." "Perfectly. We simply prefer to negotiate as equals rather than accept a subordinate position." This brought even more laughter. Ambassador Rixhal leaned forward on his throne. "Equals? You have been in space for less than 50 years. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your military consists of toy ships with pop-gun weapons." "Nevertheless," Choi said politely, "humanity values freedom and self-determination. We would prefer to establish trade relationships and cultural exchanges between independent civilizations." War Chief Graktul activated his own holographic display. It showed Earth's solar system with red markers around various points. Your pathetic space forces, he sneered. 12 orbital defense platforms, 43 patrol ships, 1 exploration vessel currently at this meeting. The display zoomed in on specific locations. Your moon bases house perhaps 5,000. Military personnel. Your asteroid mining stations are undefended. Your main shipyard produces 1 small vessel every 6 months. Dr. Han continued taking notes without looking up from her tablet. Commander O remained perfectly still. Choi nodded thoughtfully as if the information was interesting but not particularly concerning. Your evaluation of our capabilities is quite thorough, Choi said. We appreciate the attention to detail. High Chancellor Morden's tentacles writhed, with impatience. Then you understand that resistance is impossible. Submit now and your integration will be peaceful. We understand your position, Choi replied. However, we still prefer independence. War Chief Graktul stood up, his 4 arms spread wide in frustration. You cannot fight the entire galaxy. Your weapons are primitive. Your ships are slow. Your numbers are pathetic. That may be true, Choi said calmly, but we still decline your offer. The alien leaders looked at each other in confusion. Ambassador Rixhal spoke quietly with several advisors before addressing the humans again. Very well, he said. Since you appear incapable of rational thought, we will give you 30 standard days to reconsider. During this time, think carefully about the consequences of defying galactic law. And if we still refuse after 30 days? Choi asked. War Chief Graktul's eyes burned brighter. Then we will demonstrate why primitive species require guidance. Choi nodded politely. We will relay your message to our government. Is there anything else you need from us today? The alien seemed baffled by his continued calm attitude. Hi. Chancellor Morden waved a tentacle dismissively. Go. Think carefully about your choice. As the human delegation prepared to leave the chamber, Choi turned back toward the alien leaders. Before we go, I should mention something. My government asked me to deliver a message if negotiations failed. The aliens leaned forward with amused interest. After everything they had seen, they were curious what pathetic threat the humans might make. Choi's expression remained perfectly diplomatic. They wanted me to tell you that the battleship we parked outside your system, that's not our invasion force. He paused, looking directly at War Chief Graktul. That's our warning. The council chamber remained silent for 10 full seconds after Councillor Choi finished speaking. War Chief Graktul was the first to react. His 4 arms began shaking as he tried to contain his laughter. A warning? He roared. 1 primitive ship is supposed to warn us. High Chancellor Morden's tentacles writhed with amusement. This is even more entertaining than I expected. The humans actually believe their toy battleship is threatening. Ambassador Rixhal leaned back in his throne, his large black eyes studying the human delegation carefully. Unlike the others, he wasn't laughing. Something about the humans' calm behavior worried him, though he couldn't explain why. Tell me about this battleship, Rixhal said quietly. Choi smiled politely. The UES Retribution is currently stationed at the edge of your system. Captain Yeonsu Kang would be happy to answer any questions you might have. War Chief Graktul slammed one of his fists on the arm of his throne. I'll answer questions by blowing it into space dust. Guards, prepare my flagship for immediate departure. Wait, Rixhal said, raising one small gray hand. Let us examine this warning first. Send a reconnaissance squadron to investigate this human vessel. 3 hours later, a squadron of 12 Confederation scout ships approached. The human battleship. The ships moved in perfect formation, their sensors scanning the lone vessel that waited at the system's edge. Captain Minho Bay stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching the alien scouts approach on his tactical display. The massive ship around him hummed with quiet power. Everything was clean, efficient, and ready for action. Incoming transmission from the lead scout, reported Communications Officer Young Sik Kim. Put them through, Captain Bay replied. The main screen flickered and showed the interior of an alien ship. A creature that looked like a blue-skinned reptile with 6 arms stared at the humans with suspicious eyes. I am Squadron Leader Vectal, the alien said. You will surrender your vessel for inspection immediately. Welcome to our ship, Captain Bay said with a friendly smile. I'm Captain Minho Bay. We'd be happy to give you a complete tour. Squadron. Leader Vectal looked confused. You will? Give us a tour? Of course, Captain Bay replied. We have nothing to hide. Would you prefer to start with the engineering sections or the weapon systems? The alien scout ships exchanged rapid communications. No enemy had ever offered to show them military secrets voluntarily. It had to be some kind of trap. This is clearly a deception, Vectal said. Prepare boarding shuttles. No need for that, Captain Bay said cheerfully. We'll transmit complete technical specifications to your ships right now. Lieutenant Lim, please send them everything. Tactical Officer So Young Lim nodded and began uploading data. Within minutes, the alien scouts received detailed plans showing every system on the human battleship. Power generators, weapon configurations, shield harmonics, engine specifications. Everything was included. Squadron Leader Vectal stared at his screens in shock. Are you actually giving us your military secrets? Why not? Captain Bay asked. We believe in open communication between civilized species. Transparency builds trust. The alien scouts spent 2 hours examining the human ship. They took detailed scans from every angle. They analyzed the technical specifications Captain Bay had provided. They even sent small probes to examine the hull, construction up close. What they found was disturbing. The human battleship was larger than most Confederation cruisers. Its armor was thick and appeared to be made from some kind of advanced composite material. The weapon systems were unlike anything in their databases. Compact but clearly powerful. Most concerning were the power readings. The ship's energy output was enormous, but the aliens couldn't figure out what was generating so much power. The technical specifications showed reactor designs that seemed impossible. Send a message to the War Chief, Squadron Leader Vectal ordered. This vessel is more advanced than expected, but it appears to be alone. Back on Nexus Prime, War Chief Graktul reviewed the reconnaissance reports with growing anger. The human ship was indeed impressive, but that only made him more determined to destroy it. One ship, he muttered. No matter how advanced, one ship cannot threaten the entire Confederation. Intelligence Director Zexhai disagreed. She was an insect-like creature with compound eyes that could process information faster than most species could think. Her analysis of the human technology was deeply troubling. War Chief, I recommend caution, she buzzed nervously. These power systems are beyond our understanding. Their weapons appear to use principles we have not encountered before. You worry too much, Graktul replied. Superior numbers always win. We have 500 ships in this system alone. Ambassador Rixhal had been studying the reconnaissance data for hours. Something was very wrong, but he couldn't identify exactly what. The humans were too calm, too confident, too willing to share information. War Chief, he said carefully, why would they reveal their military secrets so freely? Because they're stupid, Graktul replied. Primitive species often make foolish decisions. Or, Rixhal said quietly, because they're not worried about what we might learn. Meanwhile, aboard the UES Retribution, Captain Bay was having a pleasant conversation with the alien scouts. Squadron Leader Vectal had become increasingly nervous as the tour continued. Your weapons systems, Vectal said, studying the data on his screens. These energy projectors, what do they fire? Concentrated plasma bolts, Tactical Officer Lim explained helpfully. Each cannon can punch through about 50 meters of standard battle armor. 50 meters? Vectal's 6 arms twitched with surprise. That would penetrate any ship in our fleet. Really? Captain Bay sounded genuinely interested. How thick is your armor usually? Our heaviest battleships carry 12 meters of ablative plating, Vectal replied before realizing. He had just revealed military information. Captain Bay nodded thoughtfully. Interesting. Our defensive calculations were based on much thicker armor. We may have overestimated your technology. The alien scouts exchanged worried glances. The humans were discussing their military capabilities like scientists comparing research notes. There was no fear, no attempts at deception, no signs of concern. Captain, Squadron Leader Vectal said slowly, are you not worried about facing our entire fleet? Captain Bay considered the question seriously. Should we be? Our intelligence suggested your ships were more advanced than they appear to be. Before Vectal could respond, Lieutenant Lim spoke up from her station. Captain, should I tell them about the other ships? Captain Bay paused thoughtfully. Other ships? The rest of the fleet, sir. Should I mention them to our guests? The alien. Scouts went completely silent. Their sensors hadn't detected any other human vessels in the system. Their long-range scanners showed nothing but empty space. Captain Bay looked at the worried alien faces on his screen. Not yet, Lieutenant. Let's see if they're smart enough to ask the right questions first. Squadron Leader Vectal felt his blood turn cold. What other ships? Oh, just the usual escort fleet, Captain Bay said casually. Nothing too impressive. Lieutenant, how many ships are currently in this system? Tactical Officer Lim checked her displays. Including the Retribution, we have 47 vessels in the immediate area, sir. And the reserve fleet? Another 130 ships holding position beyond sensor range, sir. Squadron Leader Vectal's compound eyes went wide. His sensors still showed only empty space around the human battleship. Either the humans were lying, or their stealth technology was far beyond anything the Confederation possessed. I need to report to my superiors, Vectal said weakly. Of course, Captain Bay replied with a friendly smile. Feel free to contact us if you have any more questions. We're always happy to help. As the alien scouts retreated toward Nexus, Prime Intelligence Director Zexhai received their frantic reports. The humans claimed to have nearly 200 ships in the system, but Confederation sensors detected only one. Either their stealth technology is impossible, she told War Chief Graktul, or they're bluffing on a scale that suggests mental illness. War Chief Graktul studied the reports with growing fury. No primitive species could hide that many ships from our sensors. They're lying. But why lie about something so easily disproven? Ambassador Rixhall asked. If we attack and find only one ship, they lose all credibility. Because they're desperate, Graktul snarled. They hope to frighten us with empty threats. Intelligence. Director Zexhai's compound eyes reflected her uncertainty. War Chief, what if they're not lying? Graktul's 4 hands clenched into fists. Then we'll find out when we destroy them. General Tae-Hyun Yoon stood in the command center of Earth Defense Headquarters, deep beneath the mountains of Korea. Around him, dozens of officers worked at their stations, monitoring communications from across the solar system. The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of computers and the occasional beep of incoming messages. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Confederation Fleet, reported Communications Officer Min-Jun Park. It's being broadcast on all frequencies. Put it through, General Yoon replied. The main screen activated, showing War Chief Graktul standing on the bridge of his flagship. Behind him, hundreds of alien vessels stretched across space like a metal storm cloud. Each ship was massive, bristling with weapons and armor. Humans of Earth, Graktul announced, his forearms spread wide in a gesture of dominance. I am War Chief Graktul, Supreme Commander of the Confederation Enforcement Fleet. You have rejected our generous offer of protection and guidance. The War Chief's red skin seemed to glow with anger. His sharp teeth gleamed as he spoke. You have 30 seconds to surrender unconditionally. Submit now, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and we will make your planet a monument to the consequences of defying galactic law. General Yoon watched the transmission with the same expression he might use to read a weather report. When it ended, he activated the communication system. This is General Tae-Hyun Yoon, Supreme Commander of Earth Defense Forces, he said calmly. We have received your message and considered your demands carefully. We respectfully decline. In space above Earth, the Confederation fleet spread across the solar system like a plague of metal locusts. 500 warships had arrived through jump gates, each one larger than anything humans had publicly revealed. War Chief Graktul expected the sight of his armada to terrify the primitive humans into immediate surrender. Admiral Vexmore stood beside the War Chief on the flagship's bridge. He was older than Graktul, with gray scales and careful eyes. Unlike the War Chief, he had survived many battles by being cautious rather than bold. The human system appears strangely empty, Vexmore observed. Our long-range sensors detect minimal ship movement. Good, Graktul replied. They're hiding like the cowards they are. Captain Yejin Song watched the alien fleet from her stealth ship, hidden among the asteroids of the outer system. Her vessel was completely invisible to alien sensors, using technology that the Confederation didn't even know existed. She had been tracking their movements for days. Recording all ship configurations and weapons signatures, she reported to Earth Defense Command. They're using standard formation patterns from their tactical manuals. Dr. Won-Sik Jang received Captain Song's data at his analysis station on Earth. He was a military scientist who specialized in studying enemy capabilities. What he saw in the alien fleet both impressed and disappointed him. They have overwhelming numbers, he told General Yun. But their tactics are exactly what we expected. No innovation, no surprises. They're following a template that worked against other primitive species. General Yun nodded. Send the analysis to all fleet commanders. Make sure everyone understands the alien approach. War Chief Graktul grew impatient, waiting for human surrender. He opened communications again, broadcasting to the entire Earth system. Your time has expired, he announced. Since you choose death over wisdom, we will demonstrate the price of defying the Confederation. All human vessels will be destroyed. Your planet will be conquered. Your people will serve as examples to other primitive species. The response came from a civilian communication satellite orbiting Earth. The voice was calm and professional, as if responding to a routine business inquiry. This is Earth Central Communications. We have received your message. Please be advised that we warned you this would happen. We do not wish to fight, but you have chosen this path. War Chief Graktul stared at his communication officer in confusion. They warned us? What did they warn us about? Before anyone could answer, every proximity alarm on every ship in the Confederation fleet began screaming at once. The sound was so loud and sudden that many aliens fell from their stations. Others covered their hearing organs and cried out, in pain. Report! Admiral Vexmore shouted over the noise. Sir, multiple contacts appearing throughout the fleet, the sensor officer yelled back. Ships are materializing everywhere. Impossible! Graktul roared. Our sensors would have detected any approaching vessels. The UES Retribution appeared first, directly in front of the alien flagship. The massive human battleship had been invisible moments before, but now it hung in space like a metal mountain. Its dark hull reflected no light, and weapons that looked like they could crack planets tracked toward the alien fleet. Then more ships appeared. Dozens of them materialized around the Confederation fleet like ghosts becoming solid. Each human vessel was identical to the Retribution, massive, dark, and bristling with unknown weapons. Admiral Vexmore watched his tactical display in horror as red contacts appeared faster than his computers could count them. 50 human ships. 100, 200. They kept coming, surrounding the alien fleet from every direction. How many? War Chief Graktul whispered. Still counting, sir, the sensor officer replied with a shaking voice. Current total is 400 and climbing. Captain Song continued observing from her hidden position. She activated her communication system to report to Earth Defense Command. All primary fleet units have uncloaked successfully, she announced. The aliens are completely surrounded. They appear to be in shock. Dr. Jang studied the tactical situation from his analysis station. The alien formation had been designed to attack a weak enemy. Now they found themselves trapped in the middle of a human fleet that outnumbered them almost 2 to 1. Their ships are scattered across too wide an area, he reported to General Yun. They can't support each other effectively. If they try to fight, we can defeat them in sections. General Yun opened a communication channel to the human fleet. All ships, this is Earth Defense Command. Maintain formation. Do not fire unless fired upon. We are still hoping for a peaceful resolution. Admiral Vexmore tried to make sense of what had happened. How did they hide so many ships? Our sensors are the most advanced in the galaxy. Sir, his science officer reported, preliminary analysis suggests the human vessels were using some form of dimensional shifting technology. They weren't actually invisible. They were somewhere else entirely. War Chief Graktul's mind reeled. Dimensional technology was theoretical even for the most advanced Confederation species. No primitive civilization should possess such capabilities. This must be a trick, he said desperately. Holograms, sensor ghosts. They're trying to frighten us with illusions. Sir, the weapons officer interrupted. I'm reading massive energy signatures from every human vessel. These are not holograms. Admiral Vexmore checked the readings himself. Each human ship was generating more power than a Confederation dreadnought. Whatever technology they were using, it was beyond anything in the galactic databases. War Chief, he said quietly, I recommend we withdraw and request reinforcements. Never! Graktul shouted. We have 500 ships. We cannot retreat from primitives. Sir, the communication officer reported. Incoming transmission from the human flagship. The main screen activated, showing the bridge of the UES Retribution. Captain Bay stood calmly in the center of the image, his hands clasped behind his back. Behind him, human officers worked quietly at their stations. War Chief Graktul, Captain Bay said politely. This is Captain Minho Bay of the United Earth, Ship Retribution. We tried to warn you through diplomatic channels, but you chose not to listen. Graktul found his voice. You cannot threaten the Confederation. We have the largest fleet in the galaxy. You had the largest fleet, Captain Bay corrected gently. Right now, you have 500 ships surrounded by over 800 human vessels. Your weapons are aimed at empty space. Our weapons are aimed at you. Admiral Vexmore stared at his tactical display. The human formation was perfect. Every alien ship was covered by multiple human vessels. There was no way to escape without fighting, through layers of enemy firepower. This is impossible, Graktul whispered. Where did you come from? How did you build so many ships? Captain Bay smiled sadly. War Chief, you spent months studying our capabilities. You counted our patrol ships and our defense platforms. You cataloged our mining stations and our shipyards, but you only looked at what we wanted you to see. The truth hit Admiral Vexmore like a physical blow. The mining stations. They weren't just mining operations. Very good, Captain Bay replied. Every asteroid facility, every orbital platform, every research station, they were all shipyards. We've been building this fleet for 50 years, waiting for the day someone would threaten our world. War Chief Graktul's 4 hands trembled with rage and fear. You tricked us! You made us believe you were weak! We never lied to you, Captain Bay said firmly. We told you we preferred peace. We offered you friendship and trade. We warned you that attacking us would be a mistake. You chose not to believe us. The alien fleet hung motionless in space, trapped between surrender and suicide. War Chief Graktul stared at the human ships surrounding his forces, finally understanding that he had made a terrible mistake. What do you want? He asked quietly. Captain Bay's expression remained calm and professional. We want you to Lee Admiral Haiyan Ju Shin stood on the bridge of the UES Sovereign, the flagship of Earth's defense fleet. Around her, 800 human warships held perfect formation, creating an unbreakable cage around the alien invasion force. Each ship was a masterpiece of engineering, built in secret over 5 decades of careful preparation. Admiral, reported Captain Dongwoo Park from his position at the tactical station, all fleet units are in position. We have complete coverage of the alien formation. Admiral Shin nodded calmly. She was a small woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that had seen too many wars. Before taking command of the fleet, she had been Earth's foremost military strategist. She understood that the next few minutes would determine humanity's future in the galaxy. Open a channel to all human ships, she ordered. This is Admiral Shin to all fleet commanders. Remember, we are not here to destroy. We are here to teach. Minimum force, maximum impact. Show them what we can do, not what we will do. War Chief Graktul stared at his tactical display in growing panic. His invasion fleet was scattered and surrounded. Every direction showed human ships with weapons trained on his forces. Somehow, the primitive species had become the hunters, and his mighty fleet had become the prey. Admiral Vexmore, he called out, his voice cracking with strain. Options? Admiral Vexmore studied his screens with the careful attention of someone who had survived many battles. What he saw terrified him more than any enemy he had ever faced. War Chief, we have no good options. If we try to fight our way out, we'll be destroyed in sections. If we surrender, we admit that primitives defeated the Confederation's finest fleet. Engineer Min-Jun Lee watched the alien fleet from his station aboard the UES Retribution. His job was to monitor human industrial capabilities and ensure all systems were operating correctly. What the aliens still didn't understand was the scale of humanity's hidden preparations. "Captain Bay," he reported, "all manufacturing stations are operational. If needed, we can produce replacement ships faster than they can destroy them." Captain Bay smiled grimly. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that, Engineer Lee." The alien fleet suddenly burst into chaotic movement. War Chief Graktul had made his decision. If he was going to die, he would die fighting. "All ships, attack formation!" he roared. "Fire on the nearest human vessels! Show these primitives what Confederation firepower can do!" The alien ships turned toward their human opponents and opened fire. Energy beams and missile volleys lit up space like deadly fireworks. The barrage was impressive. Enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Admiral Shin watched the alien attack with professional interest. "All ships, defensive formation, shields only, do not return fire." The alien weapons struck the human fleet like ocean waves hitting a stone cliff. The advanced human shields absorbed the energy impacts without difficulty. Not a single human ship was damaged. War Chief Graktul stared in disbelief as his most powerful weapons failed to even scratch the human vessels. "Impossible! Our plasma cannons can melt through any known armor." "Sir," his science officer reported, with a shaking voice, "the human ships are using some kind of energy field that converts our weapons fire into harmless radiation. Our attacks are actually making them stronger." Captain Park activated his communication system from the UES Sovereign. "Alien fleet, this is Captain Dongwoo Park. We have absorbed your attack without damage. We will now demonstrate the difference between our technologies." A single human ship, the UES Thunder, moved forward from the fleet formation. It was smaller than most of the human battleships, designed for precision rather than overwhelming force. "Thunder, you are authorized for demonstration fire," Admiral Shin announced. "Target the alien flagship's secondary systems only. Disable, do not destroy." The Thunder fired once. A beam of pure white energy reached across space and touched the alien flagship for exactly 1 second. When the light faded, half of War Chief Graktul's weapon systems had simply vanished. The energy had been so precise that it removed entire weapon banks without damaging anything else on the ship. Admiral Vexmore checked his damage reports with growing horror. "War Chief, they could have destroyed us completely. Instead, they performed surgery on our ship while we were moving and fighting." War Chief Graktul finally understood. The humans weren't trying to kill him. They were showing him that they could kill him anytime they chose. "All ships, cease fire," he ordered desperately. "Stand down! Stand down!" The alien fleet stopped shooting and hung motionless in space. Many of the alien crews were praying to their various gods. Others were sending final messages to their families. All of them realized they were completely helpless. Admiral Shin opened communications to the alien fleet. Her voice was calm and professional, like a teacher explaining a difficult lesson. "War Chief Graktul, you came here believing that humans were weak because we offered diplomacy instead of violence. You thought our politeness meant we couldn't fight. You were wrong." The main screen on every alien ship activated, showing Admiral Shin standing on her bridge. Behind her, the bridge. Crew worked quietly at their stations, as calm as if they were conducting a training exercise. "Let me explain something about humanity," Admiral Shin continued. "We didn't become diplomats because we're peaceful by nature. We became diplomats because we know exactly what we're capable of when we're not." She gestured to someone off-screen. "Engineer Lee, please show our guests what human industry looks like." The space around the solar system suddenly filled with new contacts. Massive industrial stations uncloaked throughout the asteroid belt. Ship construction facilities revealed themselves on dozens of moons. Manufacturing complexes the size of cities appeared around every planet. "We have been preparing for this day for 50 years, Admiral Shin explained. "Every human child learns about the wars in our history, the weapons we built, the cities we destroyed, the millions who died because we couldn't find peaceful solutions." War Chief Graktul watched the display with growing understanding. The humans hadn't hidden their weakness. They had hidden their strength. "We built this fleet not because we wanted to conquer anyone," Admiral Shin continued. We built it because we knew someone would eventually come to conquer us. We hoped. We were wrong. We prepared in case we were right. Counselor Jinho Choi appeared on the communication screen, joining Admiral Shin from his diplomatic vessel. His calm voice carried across space to every alien ship. War Chief, we offered you friendship because friendship is stronger than fear. We offered you trade because prosperity is better than conquest. We offered you peace because peace allows all species to grow and learn. Admiral Shin stepped forward. You chose to see our offers as weakness. You decided that kindness meant inability. You made the same mistake that humans made for thousands of years before we learned better. The alien fleet remained silent. Many crew members had stopped working entirely, focusing all their attention on the human broadcast. Every human ship in this fleet is commanded by people who studied our own history, Admiral Shin explained. We learned about Alexander and Caesar and Napoleon. We studied the Mongols and the Vikings and the Spartans. We read about Hiroshima and Stalingrad and Gettysburg. Her voice carried the weight of centuries of human conflict. We know what we become when we stop talking and start fighting. That's why we tried so hard to avoid this conversation. War Chief Graktul found his voice. What? What do you want from us? Admiral Shin's expression softened slightly. We want you to leave our system and never return with hostile intent. We want you to tell the galaxy that humanity seeks peaceful coexistence with all species. We want you to understand that our friendship is offered freely, but our protection of Earth is absolute. And if other species attack you, then they will learn the same lesson you learned today. We will defend ourselves. We will protect our allies. We will never start a war, but we will always finish one. War Chief Graktul looked around his damaged bridge at his terrified crew. The humans had demonstrated their overwhelming superiority without killing a single alien. They could have destroyed his entire fleet in minutes, but they chose mercy instead. We will leave, he said quietly. Good, Admiral Shin replied. But before you go, we want to offer you something. The war chief looked confused. Offer us what? Counselor Choi smiled. The same thing we offered from the beginning. Friendship, trade, cultural exchange. The chance to build something better than an empire based on fear. You would trust us after we tried to conquer you? Admiral Shin nodded. Trust must start somewhere, War Chief. We're willing to start with forgiveness if you're willing to start. With honesty. Some of the alien ships began moving toward the edge of the system, but others remained in place. Admiral Vexmore opened his own communication channel. Admiral Shin, I am Admiral Vexmore of the Confederation Fleet. I would like to formally request permission to negotiate a peace treaty between our species. War Chief Graktul turned to stare at his subordinate in shock. Admiral, what are you doing? Something that should have been done months ago, Vexmore replied. I'm choosing wisdom over pride. Over the following days, roughly half the alien fleet departed for Confederation space, carrying news of humanity's true capabilities. The other half, Remay,